Boys, I'm old now. I mean, I'm not like that old, I'm only 25, which is still relatively young, but I can tell you with certainty that I'm definitely not a young lad anymore. I'm all grown up. I've got a career, I'm potentially looking at buying my first home. I'm just not a kid anymore, and I haven't been for a good while now. But that's okay because that's a normal part of growing up and getting older. It's a normal part of life, and to anyone who's lucky enough to grow up and get older and live out this life fully, well, they live through these feelings too. Okay, now let's talk about the reason why I'm even making this video, and it all started with a little nostalgia trip on YouTube. I basically just got recommended a video that was made like over 10 years ago, and well, it intrigued me because it was something that I remember watching when I was a kid. And then from there, well, I just kind of went down a rabbit hole. I watched a playlist of all of these like old videos that came out a long time ago, like usually all of them are over 10 years old by now, and wow, I almost couldn't believe it. I remember watching some of these videos when they released, and that was like over 10 years ago. I would have been in like middle school when these things came out. I swear those videos weren't that old, but this actually reminds me of a video that I made back in January called Every Day's the Same Until It Isn't, and it basically just talks about nostalgia. You know, it's okay to look back from time to time. Nostalgia is a normal part of life. I highly recommend watching that, but in a nutshell, looking back with nostalgia, in moderation of course, is okay. But the fact still remains the same, is that when I was a kid, every day really did feel like the same. Like think about when you're like 13. I swear to God, when I was 13 felt like years long. Like I remember doing so much when I was 13, and well, now I'm 25. Dang, I'm almost double the age of a 13-year-old, what the hell? But anyways, let's just talk about the nostalgia trip, because like there's some wacky stuff I gotta point out that I almost couldn't believe. Like, remember that video, the hey yay yay, like just by, you already know what I'm talking about. I know it sounds goofy, but you already know what it is. Well, guess what? That video is already 13 years old and it's going on 14 years soon. I remember that video was like relatively new, and it was just like, everybody was talking about it. It was everywhere. Like you couldn't get away from that video. Yeah, it would have been like 13 or 14, maybe 15. I don't know, man, like 10 years ago. Oh boy. But another example which I know is gonna sound super cursed, and it might trigger a flashback in some of y'all, but who the hell remembers the annoying orange? Yeah, you probably saw the thumbnail and you felt something too, and it wasn't a good feeling. Like, I'll put a picture on screen if you're too young to remember this, but that whole series of the annoying orange, that started in October 2009. Some of my viewers are younger than that video. Like, that's actually crazy. But I'll tell you, my 10-year-old self was hooked on those videos. I don't know what it was. I was a weird ass kid. Something was wrong with me. But I think it's just so crazy that that video came out about 15 years ago. Wow. Like that right there was brain rot before brain rot even had a term. I even checked some of the comments and people are saying how this was like the skibbity toilet of our time, and they're not wrong. Again, brain rot isn't new, we just didn't have a fancy term for it back then. Now obviously I do miss those days, you know, life was simpler. When you're a 13-year-old, your biggest problem is making sure that you have a high enough rank in League of Legends. I mean, at least, I don't know, like there was really no problems. Life was just simpler. I could game all day and not have to worry about anything like money, taxes, jobs, having a place to live. Like things like this just like didn't occur to me when I was a kid. And you know what? I'm very privileged to not have to worry about that stuff. I'll recognize that. But one thing I'm not trying to say is I don't wish that I was there again. I think that's an important distinction when it comes to reflecting on nostalgia, because some people will just reflect on it like I'm doing right now, but some people will wish that they went back to that time. It's almost like the boomers who are like, oh yeah, I peaked in high school and I wish I was in high school again and my life just sucks now. Like that's not what I'm trying to say here. Like, I'm happy where I am right now, but you know what? Life was pretty good too back then in its own way. Again, nostalgia doesn't mean take me back to that life and let me live that part of my life again, because no, that part's over. There's no point in wishing that because it's come and it's gone. But it's just simply a reflection of the good old days, you know, when things were just easier. I do recognize there's no going back. Like, you don't have to tell me that. But today, right here, right now, this is the only moment that you're actually guaranteed. What I'm trying to say is, yes, you can always take some time to look back, but don't get caught too much thinking about the past, because when you're thinking about the past, you're consuming the present to do that. And the thing is, the present is the only thing that you're actually guaranteed at this current moment. You watching this video, you're guaranteed that, obviously because you're doing it right now, but in the next couple hours or days or months even, like you could just be dead. And then that's it, game over, right? Like GG bro. Okay, before I go any deeper into that dark rabbit hole of you could die any second, I think it's okay to look back from time to time. And I think personally that the key to not being a doomer is just having something to look forward to as well. Yes, the past was a fun time and you know what happened because it happened. The present is happening right now, but what about the future? You don't know what the future is going to hold, but if you have something to look forward to, then it gives you a good idea and it gives you something to look forward to. I've noticed this even in my life too. When I have nothing to look forward to, like I'm talking not even like a lunch with a friend, just anything simple like that, I almost feel like I'm just existing. Like I'm just kind of floating along the river of life. I feel like I'm just kind of there, but because nothing's happening and I have nothing to look forward to, I'm just kind of floating along the days. It's not a good feeling, especially when you know how short life actually is. It's a scary thought, actually. And you know what? I know this is just not a great answer, but I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, and I don't have a great answer for you. If I did, I would be telling you right now. I just don't, because this is something that I'm currently struggling with, and I'm sure there are a lot of people my age, especially, who are feeling the same thing too. I know it's been said to death, you know, like you have to live your life like it's your last day, or you gotta live life to the fullest every single day and every single moment, and everything's gotta be amazing. But realistically, you just can't. You can't have every moment be perfect. Some days at work are just gonna suck and they're gonna ruin your day, or you might just have an accident that's gonna derail all your plans. What I'm trying to say is shit happens that's out of your control, and it happens to everyone eventually, some more than others, unfortunately. And yes, I do think that trying to look at the bright side of every situation that you're placed in is still worth trying to do, but it's not a cure-all situation. You can't just be like, hey, I know your friend just died, but look at the bright side. Now you don't have to spend money during Christmas time to buy him a present. That's not helping. Again, I just don't have too much to say here because I'm still trying to figure it out. But if you have any good advice on this topic, please leave a comment down below because I want to hear any kind of advice I can. Also, I did already make another video last year called Life is All About the Little Things, and I'll have a link down below, but basically I talk about other solutions to life and how to make it more enjoyable, and I think that's still true, where the little things are what make life worth living. But also in turn, it kind of slows down life too. So if you're someone who's over 20 and has joined the workforce, you've probably noticed that when you're in your teens, those years seem to have lasted forever. But then once you start working, well man, years just go by fast. Like I graduated university 3 years ago and I've been working for 3 years now. That is scary. Like those 3 years of work went way faster than those 3 years of high school that I went through. I know this video is kind of taking like a darker and more existential turn, but I think the video I already made talks about enjoying the little things just better, and enjoying little moments in your day really can just make your days feel longer in general. And in turn, it reduces that slipping away feeling, and well, life doesn't pass so damn quickly anymore. I know when I really take my time and I just use all of my senses to take in everything that's happening around me, well, life does almost slow down a little bit. But it's something that you always have to be conscious about at all times, and well, that's kind of a hard part because this is something that I struggle with too. Like when I go for a walk, I like to just try and look in the sky and just listen to the sounds, like listen to the birds, the insects, the everything, look at the sky, look how blue the sky is, or maybe just feel the wind on my skin. You know, these little things, trying to use all of my senses. If I can do that in more moments in my life, well, I can effectively make my life feel longer. I know we all objectively live the same 24-hour day, but trying to feel everything to make your days feel longer, then you can subjectively make your life feel longer. Also, I just realized this is like my 3rd video on nostalgia in the last year, so hopefully that doesn't mean something for me. I mean, I think I'm just missing how things used to be, especially pre-COVID. I think everyone can relate to that. Like, life was just very different before then. And you know, I'm not old, I know that. I'm just trying to say that I'm not young anymore. I'm not like an 18-year-old. I mean, I'm 7 years older than an 18-year-old. Holy shit. I also definitely think Gen Z has it way tougher, like my generation. And I think we're getting hit the hardest with this kind of nostalgia is because, one, we have the internet to archive our entire childhood, whereas older generations, well, they just got the tail end of the start of the internet, so they didn't really get to have everything fully archived and documented. But I do know that the feeling of nostalgia is a universal one. All generations go through it. Even the boomers, they feel nostalgia for the old days, I don't know. And there is a whole rabbit hole to go down about how Gen Z is kind of like screwed, and that we pretty much have it the worst out of all generations in almost all aspects of life, which is just wild. But you know what? I think that's just going down a different rabbit hole that I should explore in another video, and just not this one because I'm trying to end this video now. So before I ramble on further about how life passes too damn quickly and how Gen Z is screwed, drop a like and a sub.